The Ultimate Survivalist, Wrong Turn 2 Recap. Video segment, Dale Murphy's Last Stand. We're back in the West Virginia backwoods, and things have gone from reality TV disaster to full-blown cannibal buffet. Our host with the most, and by most, I mean most likely to cave your chest in, Dale Murphy, is currently in a bit of a bind. Now, most people in a slasher flick would be begging for mercy, but Dale is just calculating the most efficient way to turn these hillbillies into a puddle of gristle. There's the rattle of rusty chains. Dale, in a low growl, "You're gonna have to do better than that, you inbred pieces of shit." Ma Cannibal cackles, raising a rusted meat cleaver. She swings, the camera slows motion as Dale shifts, the blade thwacking into the wooden arm of the chair just inches from his hand. Talk about a close shave, but Dale isn't waiting for a second swing. He lunges, using his sheer mass to tip the chair, snapping the rotted wood like dry kindling. There's the crack snap of wood, the metallic clang of chains hitting the floor. Dale explodes upward. He grabs a heavy-duty meat hook hanging from a conveyor rail. The camera follows the hook in a whip pan. This is where the survivalist part of his job description kicks in. Dale swings the hook with the force of a freight train. There's the squelch, a wet, meaty thud. The hook catches brother right under the jawline. We see the point of the hook protrude through the roof of the mouth. A geyser of dark arterial spray coats Dale's face. He doesn't even blink. Oof, that is a one-way ticket to a closed casket funeral. The SFX team went ham here. Look at that viscous, dark blood. It's got that perfect corn syrup and dye consistency that we love to see. Dale kicks the body away. He turns to find Pa Cannibal charging with a jagged hunting knife. Dale parries the blow, grabs Pa's wrist, and we hear the sickening crunch of bone. There's the bone-crunching impact. Dale doesn't just fight, he dismantles. He snaps the wrist like a twig, forcing the knife into Pa's own shoulder. The blade sinks deep, shearing through the deltoid down to the scapula. Dale delivers a brutal headbutt. We see a close-up of Pa's nose exploding in a spray of red. That's the Rollins special right there. But wait, we've got a jump scare incoming. There's the high-pitched screech. Ma Cannibal leaps onto Dale's back, clawing at his eyes. Dale stumbles toward the industrial meat grinder, a massive spinning maw of steel teeth. This is the trope we've been waiting for, the industrial hazard kill. Dale isn't trying to shake her off, he's aiming for the machinery. Dale slams his back against the control panel, then spins Ma around. He grabs her by the matted hair and forces her head toward the spinning blades. The camera zooms in on the whirling metal. It's a battle of strength now. Ma is snapping at him, her rotted teeth inches from his throat, but Dale Murphy didn't survive the core to end up as a side dish. There's the grinding of metal on bone, a wet mechanical churning. Dale shoves her face first into the intake. For a split second, we see the realization in her mutated eyes before the blades catch. The screen is momentarily painted crimson as a fountain of gore erupts from the discharge chute. Absolutely gnarly. That is a top-tier kill for the franchise. The practical effects here are stellar. You can see the meat being ejected in chunks. It's messy, it's mean, and it's exactly why we watch these movies. Dale Murphy,
host, Marine, and the only man to ever turn a wrong-turn movie into an action hero highlight reel. Designing the scene. But don't get too comfortable. In the woods of West Virginia, the family tree has a lot of branches, and they're all sharpened into stakes.
All right, gorehounds, buckle up. We're hitting the midpoint of Wrong Turn 2, Dead End, and director Joe Lynch is about to stop playing nice. We've got Elena, the show's resident mean girl, and Mara, the overworked production assistant, thinking they're just scouting a location. Little do they know, they've just walked into the Three Finger Family's all-you-can-eat buffet. High-pitched, manic giggling echoing through the trees. The camera pans over Elena, capturing the classic slasher trope of vulnerability through vanity. She's got her headphones on, effectively silencing her own survival instincts. Meanwhile, the POV shot pushes through the brush. We see the rusted, notched blade of a hunting knife enter the frame. A sudden, sharp, metallic shing. Enter Ma, and she's not looking to trade recipes. Ma lunges from the bushes. Elena screams, but it's cut short as Ma grabs her by the hair and jerks her head back. Ma doesn't go for the quick kill. This is a territorial dispute. She slams Elena onto the rocks. Thud, bone hitting granite. Elena tries to scramble away, but Ma is a powerhouse of mutated muscle. She drives the knife deep into Elena's side. We get a close-up on the practical effects here. None of that CGI garbage. It's a geyser of arterial spray that coats the gray stones in a vibrant, sticky crimson. Wet, squelching sound as the knife is twisted. Elena screaming now, a raw, guttural sound, but Ma silences her by plunging the blade repeatedly into her torso. It's a rhythmic, brutal sewing machine stabbing motion. Rapid fire, squish, squish, squish. As Elena's light fades, the camera cuts to Mara. She's frozen. The final girl flight or fight response kicks in, and she chooses flight. She bolts toward the woods, her boots thudding against the damp earth. Heavy breathing, crashing through branches. But she's forgotten about the MVP of the franchise, Three Finger. In the distance, Three Finger is standing on a fallen log, cackling. He raises a double-bit felling axe. The camera switches to a slow-motion tracking shot of the axe as it leaves Three Finger. It spins 1, 2, 3 rotations, cutting through the mountain air with a predatory whistle. The whir of the spinning blade. Mara turns her head just in time to see her fate. The axe blade buries itself directly into the center of Mara's skull. The impact is staggering. Her body is propelled forward with the momentum. Boom! Headshot. The blade splits the cranium right down to the bridge of the nose. We get a gruesome, lingering shot of the axe embedded in the bone, gray matter and red mist spraying the foliage behind her. She hits the ground like a sack of wet flour. A heavy, wet crunch, followed by a dull thud. Three Finger trots over, looking like a proud golden retriever who just fetched a very bloody stick. He lets out that iconic wheezing laugh, wipes some of the spray off his face, and begins the grim task of dragging the merchandise back to the cabin. The camera pulls back into a high-angle drone shot, showing the two bodies being dragged away, leaving two long, dark smears of blood on the forest floor. 2 kills, 0 survivors, and the Lake Massacre cements itself as the moment Wrong Turn 2 stopped being a reality show parody and started being a full-blown slaughterhouse. Chainsaw revving transition. Welcome back to the kill floor, gorehounds. We've reached the final act of Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. And if you thought the first film was messy, Joe Lynch is about to turn the dial up to a bloody 11. We're at the abandoned cannery, a literal factory of filth where the hillbilly family processes their organic, locally sourced meat. A heavy metallic slam. Dale Murphy grunts in pain. Welcome back to the kill floor. Our resident badass and former colonel, Dale Murphy, is currently being served as the main course. The camera pans across the dinner table from hell. We're talking human ears in the stew, a severed head as a centerpiece, the works. A wet slurp of Pa sucking marrow from a bone. Pa and Ma are playing house, forcing Nina to join the family. But Dale Murphy doesn't do captured. In a move that would make Rambo weep, Dale uses a hidden cigar to burn through his restraints. A sizzling flesh, a sharp hiss of breath. Dale springs into action, and the Cannery of Horrors finally earns its name. He grabs a dinner knife and plunges it straight into Pa's hand, pinning it to the table with a sickening thwack. Bone-crunching impact. Pa screams a guttural, distorted yell. But we aren't here for flesh wounds. We're here for the main event. Nina breaks loose, and it's time for Ma to meet her maker. Nina grabs a nearby meat cleaver. The camera moves into a tight close-up as Ma lunges. A heavy, wet whack. Arterial spray hitting a rusted pipe. Tiss, tiss, tiss. Nina buries the cleaver deep into Ma's shoulder, but Ma doesn't stop. She's a tank. It takes Dale stepping in with a heavy-duty meat hook to even the odds. He hooks Ma under the jaw, crunch, and swings her toward the industrial grinder. A roar of a high-torque motor, the grinding of metal teeth. Ma goes into the gears shoulder first. It is a symphony of practical effects glory. We see the skin peel back, the humerus snapped like a dry twig, and a geyser of arterial spray painting the rusted yellow paint of the machinery. She's pulled in inch by agonizing inch until a wet explosion. The gears jam on her rib cage, leaving her a mangled torso of shredded muscle and bone. Dale breathing hard, Pa roaring in fury. Pa is pissed. He's the big bad, played by Jason Voorhees himself, Ken Kurtzinger. He charges Dale, and we get a heavyweight slugfest amidst the steam pipes. Dale catches a stray pipe and goes to work. Metallic clang. Dale grunts, "Oorah!" Dale pummels Pa back toward the primary meat processing vat. This isn't a quick death. This is a wrong turn death. Dale kicks Pa into the oversized industrial wood chipper grinder combo at the end of the line. High-pitched mechanical whine, the sound of a blender hitting a bag of ice. The camera doesn't flinch. We watch Pa's legs get caught in the rotating blades. His denim overalls are shredded instantly, followed by a mist of crimson meat confetti.
Pa reaches out, his fingers clawing at the air, before his torso is dragged into the maw. A final wet crunch. The engine bogs down, then revs back up. A literal fountain of gore erupts from the discharge chute, coating the final girl, Nina, in a thick, viscous layer of her pursuer. It's disgusting, it's over the top, it's beautiful. A silence falls, save for the dripping of blood onto the concrete floor. Dale wipes the soot and blood from his brow, looks at the carnage, and, well, he's Henry Rollins. He probably just wants a coffee. But don't get too comfortable. In this franchise, the family tree always has a few more rotten branches waiting in the woods. A sharp staccato horror sting. Fade to black.
Intro music, a heavy, distorted metal riff that fades in to the sound of buzzing flies and a low, rhythmic thumping. All right, gore hounds, welcome back. If you thought the first Wrong Turn was a nasty piece of backwoods business, Joe Lynch's sequel takes that formula, douses it in gasoline, and throws a lit match into a tub of offal. We've reached the infamous family dinner scene. It's a direct homage to Texas Chainsaw, but with the volume turned up to 11 and the budget spent almost entirely on corn syrup and latex. Sound effects, the sound of a sloppy, wet splatter. Scene start. Visual. The camera pans across a table of nightmares. It's cluttered with rusted cutlery, jars of unidentifiable gray meat, and the centerpiece that used to be Kimberly from the opening scene. Host VO. The camera crawls across the table, and we see our final girl, Nina, strapped to a chair made of literal human bones. Opposite her is Dale Murphy, played by the legendary Henry Rollins, looking like he's about to burst a blood vessel from sheer rage. Sound effects, the low, guttural grunting of Three Finger. Host VO. Enter the family. We've got Ma, Pa, brother, and sister. This isn't just a meal, it's a ritual. Ma is currently breastfeeding well, let's call it a mutant infant that looks like a water balloon filled with oatmeal. Sound effects, wet sucking sounds followed by a cracking bone. Host VO. Pa decides it's time for the first course. He picks up a rusted blender filled with a viscous crimson slurry. This is the Kimberly special. You can actually see a stray lock of blonde hair swirling in the gelatinous pink foam. Character Pa. Grasping Nina's jaw with a hand that looks like charred leather. Eat, grow big, like Ma. Sound effects, the metallic screech of the blender lid. Host VO. Pa forces a spoon of the human protein shake into Nina's mouth. The camera moves into a nauseating extreme close-up. We see the chunks of raw tissue slide down her throat. It's a masterclass in practical effects. The way the bile-colored fat separates from the blood is enough for a vulture to gag. Sound effects, Nina muffled screaming, choking. Host VO. But then we get the Rollins moment. Dale has been working on his restraints, while the mutants are distracted by Nina's forced appetizer. Dale flexes, and when Henry Rollins flexes, physics tends to give up. Sound effects, the crisp snap of manila rope, wood splintering. Host VO. Dale explodes out of the chair. The camera cuts to a high-angle shot as he grabs a sharpened bone shiv from the table. Character, Dale. I'm done with the appetizers. Sound effects, a meaty, thudding impact. Host VO. Dale drives the shiv directly into brother's thigh. We get a geyser of arterial spray that paints the dinner table a fresh shade of "you're dead." He doesn't stop there. He swings a heavy wooden chair with the force of a wrecking ball, catching Pa square in the jaw. Sound effects, the crunch of a mandible shattering. Host VO. The SFX team really went for the gold here. You can see the teeth flying in slow motion, mixed with strings of saliva and gore. Pa hits the floor like a sack of wet cement. Sound effects, high-pitched mutant screaming. Host VO. Sister lunges with a rusted carving knife, but Dale, in pure action hero mode, uses a dinner plate as a shield. The knife shatters the ceramic, and Dale counters with a brutal backhand that sends her reeling into the wall of mounted trophies. Sound effects, metallic clattering, bone hitting wood. Host VO. Nina manages to spit out the mouthful of Kimberly stew and pins Ma underneath the weight of her own home cooking. It's chaotic, it's filthy, and it's a perfect subversion of the helpless victim trope. Sound effects, Dale's heavy breathing, the crackle of the fireplace. Host VO. The scene ends with Dale and Nina backing out of the cabin, the mutants howling in the shadows. The dinner party is over, but the kill count is only just getting started. Sound effects, a final wet squelch as the screen cuts to black. Host VO. Pro tip, maybe skip the protein shake before watching this one. Outro music kicks in.
Video title: The Ultimate Survivalist's Last Stand. Wrong Turn 2, Dead End, 2007. Scene breakdown. Host, on camera, wearing a black t-shirt, background filled with horror posters. Introduction. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're heading back to the backwoods of West Virginia for a sequel that many, including myself, argue actually surpasses the original in terms of sheer, mean-spirited fun. I'm talking about Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. If the first movie was a slow-burn survival horror, the sequel is a full-blown gore fest that knows exactly what it is. And nothing sets the tone better than the opening kill. It's the scene that told audiences, buckle up, because we aren't playing by the rules anymore. The setup. Scene start. Sound cue. Aggressive early 2000s punk rock blares from car speakers. We open on Kimberly Caldwell, yes, the American Idol contestant playing herself, zipping through the woods in a red convertible. She's headed to the set of a new reality show, The Ultimate Survivalist. Camera angle. A low-angle tracking shot follows the tires, emphasizing the isolation of the dirt road. Kimberly on her cell phone. I'm lost, okay? These directions are total crap. If I'm late, tell Dale to suck it. Ah, the classic arrogant blonde trope. In any other slasher, she'd make it to the final 30 minutes. Here, she's the appetizer. Sound cue. A sudden, wet thud. Tires screeching. Host, voiceover. Kimberly slams the brakes. She's hit something, or someone. The bait. Scene. "Oh my God! Hello? Are you okay?" SFX. Heavy, wheezing breath. Host voiceover. She finds a man hunched over in the middle of the road. This is Brother, one of our mutated cannibals. He looks like a heap of laundry and tumors. Kimberly, displaying the survival instincts of a ham sandwich, leans in close. Camera angle, extreme close-up on Brother's face as he slowly looks up. His skin is a road map of scar tissue and grime. SFX, a disgusting, fleshy, schlick sound. Host voiceover. Without warning, Brother lunges. He doesn't just bite her, he practically tries to eat her face off in one go. We get a geyser of arterial spray as he rips a massive chunk of flesh from her cheek and lip. Kimberly, screaming, clutching her face, blood pouring through her fingers. "Get away from me!" The chase and the trap. Host voiceover. Kimberly manages to kick him off and bolts into the woods. This is where the cinematography shifts to that frantic, shaky cam style, typical of the grindhouse revival of the mid-2000s. Sound cue, twigs snapping, heavy boots thudding on mulch. Host voiceover. She's stumbling, blinded by her own blood. She thinks she's found a clearing. She thinks she's safe, but she's just wandered into the kill zone. Sound cue, a metallic whir and the sound of heavy chains. Enter Three Finger and Pa. These guys aren't just hunters, they're engineers of the macabre. The money shot, the vertical split. Scene. Kimberly stops dead in her tracks. She's standing between two massive, ancient trees. Camera angle, wide shot. We see the silhouettes of the cannibals holding a massive two-man cross-cut saw. But they aren't using the saw manually. It's rigged to a tension wire system. Host voiceover. This is the golden chainsaw contender of the entire franchise, the vertical split. SFX, a high-pitched metallic zing as the tension is released. Host voiceover. The camera cuts to a profile shot. The massive blade swings with the force of a falling guillotine, but horizontally. No, wait, the film subverts it. Three Finger and Pa have timed this perfectly. SFX, bone-crunching impact, wet tearing. Camera angle, a front-facing slow-motion shot of Kimberly. Host voiceover. The blade enters through the crown of her skull. We see the steel divide the forehead, the bridge of the nose, and the chin with surgical yet brutal precision. SFX, squish, splash, and the sound of a heavy weight hitting the forest floor. Host voiceover. The camera pans down as the two halves of her body, literally split down the center, fall away from each other. The physics are questionable, but the practical effects are chef's kiss. We get a full view of the interior anatomy, ribs, lungs, and the spinal column perfectly bisected. The aftermath. Scene. Three Finger walks up to the remains, giggling his signature high-pitched, mutated laugh. He picks up a piece of the leftover Kimberly and takes a bite. SFX, wet chewing. And just like that, the star of the opening is literally half the woman she used to be. This scene is a masterpiece of early 2000s gore. It uses a mix of a high-quality silicone dummy and CGI enhancement to make the split look seamless. It tells the audience no one is safe and it's going to get messy. Host on camera. But Kimberly was just the first course. If you think the vertical split was bad, wait until we talk about the meat grinder scene later in the film. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, and let me know in the comments, is Wrong Turn 2 the best sequel in the series? And remember, stay off the back roads. Fade to black. Sound cue. Three fingers cackle.